Number 10. Taylor Swift. Jared Leto caught some heat when TMZ leaked a video of him and his band 30 Seconds to Mars listening to Taylor Swift's 1989 and saying how they really felt about it. Jared was caught saying, "F her, I don't give an F about her, it's whatever works best for us." Swift's fans were obviously not too happy with what was said, and Jared received some pretty intense backlash from recording, so much so that he eventually was forced to issue a formal apology. The truth is that I think Taylor Swift is amazing and an incredible example of what's possible. If I hurt her or my fans, my sincerest apologies. The whole thing was pretty awkward. Number 9. Margot Robbie. When the Australian actress worked with Leto in 2016 on the Suicide Squad, it wasn't exactly a relaxing experience for her, but it was actually her co-star Viola Davis that first confirmed rumors that Jared had gifted Margot a pet rat on the set of the movie, and spoke about the incident to British Vogue. Quote, "I was saying loudly, 'Don't open the box.' I was halfway out the door when Margot opened the box and saw the biggest black rat you could imagine." Reports at the time suggested that Leto dished out the bizarre gift as a part of his attempts to channel the famously deranged Joker character. He has since denied the story and instead claimed that he gifted Margot with some sweet treats. He told GQ, quote, "It's also interesting how this stuff takes on a life of its own, but I never gave Margot Robbie a dead rat. That's just not true." But even Margot confirmed that she had been given the rat in an interview with Jimmy Fallon. At first I thought this was disgusting, but then after that I was like, I'm not gonna kill him. So I ended up keeping him as a pet. Despite the fact that she eventually warmed to the rat, it's easy to see why she wouldn't be jumping to do another movie with Leto after his crazy antics. Number 8. Robert Pattinson. While it's true that every actor has their own process to get ready for a role, method acting often goes into uncomfortable territory, and even Robert Pattinson believes there's such a thing as going too far. Quote, "I always say about people who do method acting, you only ever see people do method when they're playing a-holes. You never see someone being lovely to everyone while they're really deep into a character." While he didn't reference Leto specifically, his comments certainly created some tension between the two DC actors, as Jared is known for his reliance on method acting, especially for his role as the Joker, when he took it to the extreme. In fact, he took his role so seriously that he didn't even speak to his co-star Will Smith outside of filming for their parts, as a way to connect with his character. Leto would also send wildly inappropriate gifts to his co-stars, such as dead animals, objects that are meant to be used in the bedroom, and items that seem highly contaminated, all in the name of creating a dynamic. Jared himself tried to justify this on set behavior by saying that the Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries. But what was the point of disturbing his co-stars to such a degree when the movie was a critical flop anyway? Number 7. The View. Smith received a hell of a lot of criticism for the slap itself, but a lot of people really seemed to take issue with the video apology that he released a whole 4 months after the incident. The ladies on The View spoke about how disappointing it was to see Will Smith upload a 5-minute video addressing what is actually a really serious issue, considering it happened to Dave Chappelle too that same month. The hosts voiced their opinion about the Oscar slap and spoke about Will's apology video not long after it was released. While they unanimously agreed that it was a good first step, they said it simply wasn't enough to make good with Chris Rock. Alyssa Farrow Griffin said, "I think he's got to go further, and even the fact that he didn't do this in more of an interview format where he might be challenged with some tough questions, I was a little surprised by." She then went on to say that it's a lot easier to say something scripted to camera than to ask, "What was your motivation? Why didn't you then apologize in your acceptance speech?" Alyssa feels Smith should have sat down with Oprah because then she would have challenged him. Joy Behar also agreed with her and thought he should have come on The View instead. But it's clear that they felt the video format of the apology made it much too easy for him to evade criticism. Number 6. Dylan Sprouse. In 2018, the then 25-year-old actor slammed Jared Leto for allegedly sliding into several young models' direct messages on Twitter. Sprouse directed the tweet at Jared's creepy behavior and questioned his success rate with young models. He wrote, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" As you would have predicted, the tweet totally blew up and many people were happy that he was finally getting called out. While it's unclear what incident prompted Dylan's message, the 30 Seconds to Mars frontman did not seem up to the challenge of responding. But when more and more allegations started piling up against him, people were not happy at all after the actor posed with pop star Olivia Rodrigo at the Grammy Awards. At the show, the two of them posed together for a few photos that have since gone viral, one of them shaking hands and one of them showing Jared's hand on her waist. Twitter users criticized the show's decision to invite him to present given the current allegations. Number 5. Meghan McCain, the former co-host of The View, slammed Elon Musk over his tweets about having multiple children in her new Daily Mail column. It started with a bizarre tweet from Musk about doing his best to help the underpopulation crisis shortly after it came out that he had had twins with one of his top executives, 36-year-old Siobhan Zilis. Other celebrities like Nick Cannon joined in the Twitter exchange, but Meghan McCain was not having it. Quote, "What the heck is going on here? This may be the creepiest tag team tweet thread in history. I don't care how many times Musk eviscerates cancel culture and wokeism. I don't care that he is supposedly buying Twitter to save it from the bots and thought police, or colonizing Mars to save the human race. This is flat out weird." She goes on to say that this impregnate the planet mentality is creepy and comes off like the actions of a cult leader more than an altruistic person who wants to expand their family and save the planet. McCain claimed that it all feels very impersonal, fatalistic, and dystopian because he is an eccentric billionaire who leads an entirely different kind of life than any of us can fathom. So it's pretty clear that she is not a fan. Number 4. Will Smith. Playing Deadshot in 2016's Suicide Squad really gave Will Smith an opportunity to make friends with the entire cast over the course of the 6 months that the film was shot. But when it came to Jared Leto, Will Smith said that he never met him on set. Instead, all he got was the Joker. Will told Beats One radio show, quote, "We worked together for 6 months and we've never exchanged a word outside of action and cut. We've never said hello, we've never said good day. I've only ever spoken to him as Deadshot and him as the Joker. I literally have not met him yet. Not a single word exchanged off camera. He was all in on the Joker." But 6 months of filming sounds grueling on its own, which is why Will allegedly wasn't happy putting up with Jared's inappropriate pranks on set. All in all, it sounded like it was just another case of Jared's method acting gone way too far. Number 3. Sharon Osbourne. In an April interview with the Sunday Times, the former talk co-host expressed her opinion on the Oscar incident. Osbourne made the comparison when explaining the hypocrisy she sees where some people are too scared to make judgments to a person's face about their behavior, but will do so behind a computer screen or behind their back, and used the recent Oscars incident between Will Smith and Chris Rock as an example. Quote, "When he wins Best Actor award, everybody stands up. It's like, you're such hypocrites. You're going to go home and say how disgraceful his behavior was, but you stand up and give him a standing ovation." But most controversially, she then went on to compare Will Smith to Hitler, insinuating that no matter how horrible someone is, the industry will still try and find a way to make money off of them. Although her experience isn't exactly like Will Smith's, Sharon Osbourne dealt with plenty of criticism of her own, following her comments on the talk over the Piers Morgan and Meghan Markle feud. After a heated discussion with her and the talk show co-host last year, she was fired from the show by CBS, so she's no stranger to backlash herself, but clearly she didn't mind comparing Will Smith to possibly the worst person who ever existed. Number 2. Daniel Espinosa. The only thing that one can say about Morbius is that it's certainly a movie. That's something that director Daniel Espinosa would probably agree with, given that he had to deal with Jared Leto's so-called method acting for his role as Dr. Michael Morbius. So what did he put the director through exactly? Well, in order to prepare for his portrayal as Marvel's very first on-screen vampire, Jared would reportedly remain in character for the duration of the shoot, even pretending to be disabled in between takes and using his character's crutches even on his bathroom breaks. While speaking to Uproxx magazine, Espinosa confirmed this and even revealed that Jared's technique became a problem on set as he would take too long to move around between each scene. Apparently, he had to be given a wheelchair to move around for the sake of speeding him up because his ridiculous antics were actually wasting a lot of time. Number 1. Joaquin Phoenix. Just how annoyed was Jared Leto with Todd Phillips' Joker in 2019? While the movie movie ended up grossing more than $1 billion against a budget of around $60 million. Not only that, but it garnered international praise, mostly for the incredible performance from its Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. But the film's success was allegedly a source of embarrassment for Jared Leto, who tried to have the film shut down ahead of its production. According to sources familiar with Jared's behavior, when the Oscar-winning actor learned of the Phillips project, he not only complained bitterly to his agents at CAA, but reportedly asked his music manager, Irving Azoff, to call the leader of Warner Brothers and get them to kill the film. We now know that obviously didn't work, and for whatever reason, that same year Jared ended up parting ways with his manager. THR previously reported that Jared thought Warner Brothers had strung him along with the promises of his own Joker standalone film, only to greenlight the Phillips version with Joaquin Phoenix instead. So it's easy to see why Jared felt threatened with the success of Joker, but anyone in Joaquin's position would just want the chance to portray the villain in their own way, and shouldn't have to prioritize someone else's ego before they take on a role. Number 10. Donald Trump. When Elon Musk tweeted that it's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail into the sunset, things got messy very quickly. But since he was banned from Twitter, the former US president took to his alternative social media platform called Truth Social and hit back at the tech billionaire. When Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all of his many subsidized projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough, driverless cars that crash, or rocket ships to nowhere, without which subsidies he'd be worthless, and telling me how he was a big Trump fan and Republican, I could have said, drop to your knees and beg, and he would have done it. He went on to criticize Elon for the Twitter ordeal and said that's something he should really be focusing on, considering he could owe the company $44 billion for something that's essentially worthless. If that wasn't enough, he ended the post with a final burn and said, also, there's a lot of competition for electric cars. In fact, at a political rally in Alaska, the 75-year-old brought him up again and called him another BS artist. But there's clearly something about the SpaceX founder that Trump just cannot stand. Number 9. Simu Liu. Fans of the Marvel star were divided over his criticism of Elon Musk's attempt to spend $44 billion to buy Twitter, because according to Musk himself, his interest in acquiring the platform in the first place stemmed from the realization that having a public platform that is maximally trusted and broadly inclusive is extremely important to the future of civilization. Describing himself as a free speech absolutist, he has said that he believes that Twitter should only be regulated by the laws of the country it operates in. But the star of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was not too happy with his ideas and spoke up about his disdain for the CEO. Quote, was there nothing better to do with $44 billion? The post got 333,000 likes and started a massive debate in the Twitter sphere. YouTuber Matt Muscles commented under his post that solving world hunger several times over would have been nice, referencing Musk's tweet last year about selling Tesla stock to resolve world hunger. But the reaction to Liu's post was so good to see, considering where Musk stands in the messy Twitter lawsuit right now. Number 8. Azelia Banks. Oh, where to begin with this one? In 2018, Banks wrote in a series of tweets that she had been trapped in a real-life episode of the Jordan Peele film Get Out, after being left alone for days in Musk's Los Angeles mansion. The story goes that the rapper had been invited to the mansion by Grimes, who was Elon's girlfriend at the time, so that they could record a song together. But instead of getting down to work, Grimes was allegedly comforting Musk after he announced on Twitter that he was taking Tesla private at $420 per share, with the funding secured. But he was ordered to pay $20 million by the CEC. But despite being left alone in the mansion, Banks continued to post about her stay on Instagram and accused Elon Musk of investment fraud by claiming that the tweet was written while Musk was high on acid. She also called Musk a beta male who took steroids and got hair plugs to convince himself that he was an alpha. Yikes. Musk was subsequently sued by a number of Twitter investors over claims of market manipulation in a lawsuit that was settled soon after. But the 212 rapper was not exactly finished with her feud and went on to tell Business Insider that she could run Tesla better than he does, and even called the couple pitiful. Number 7. Lindsay Lohan. This one is really strange, but it turns out that the star of Mean Girls is not exactly a fan of Jared Leto. When it was announced that Jared was set to play the Joker, there were some pictures of his character that were released ahead of the film. According to Contact Music, Lindsay took to Instagram and posted a picture of Jared Leto as the Joker, right next to a picture of the Crow played by Brandon Lee, with the caption, "Who wore it better?" She then posted a question that seemed directed right at Jared, which said, "Who based his whole music and film career on the film The Crow?" Lindsay then went on to condemn the Suicide Squad film as a whole, commenting that a Suicide Squad film is not helping the world but hurting people. Anger is not the answer for peace. Although she would eventually delete the post, she made it pretty clear that she feels Jared somehow ripped off Brandon Lee's aesthetic and copied his film career. We're talking, of course, about Bruce Lee's son, who tragically died in an accident involving firearms on set. He was only 28 years old at the time and was beginning his acting career. Although it was a bizarre accusation, neither Jared Leto nor anyone involved in the movie seemed to respond to Lindsay, which was probably for the best. Number 6. Justine Musk. The Canadian author was Elon Musk's first wife, and they married in January of 2000 after knowing each other for almost a decade. But not long after the college sweethearts said their vows, Justine would slowly start to realize that she didn't know her husband as well as she'd hoped. It was only after their messy public divorce that Elon's ex-wife opened up about how she was mistreated during their marriage. In an article published in Marie Claire, Justine detailed their dysfunctional relationship and revealed that she felt like a trophy wife. She stated that her ex-husband always overpowered, disrespected, and mistreated her. Quote, "Elon's judgment overruled mine, and he was constantly remarking on the ways that he found me lacking. I am your wife," I told him repeatedly. "I am not your employee. If you were my employee," he said, "just as often, I would fire you." In the end, the tech billionaire decided that she was as expendable as an employee and gave her an ultimatum: fix the marriage immediately or give it up. She chose the latter. He filed for divorce immediately, and only 1 month later, he was engaged to actress Tallulah Riley, though he swore their relationship didn't begin until after his marriage. As of now, Justine and Elon Musk are reportedly not on speaking terms. Number 5. Bill Maher. The comedian and television host made it pretty clear that he despises Will Smith on several occasions, most notably on one episode of his talk show Real Time with Bill Maher, which aired on April 1st. Bill reacted to the explosive outrage against the actor at the time. Quote, "To Will Smith, stay strong and I got your back," before following it up with, "April Fools, you're a D." Maher went on to say that he couldn't feel sorry for Pinkett Smith because, according to him, comparing a woman to Demi Moore looking her hottest is not exactly the worst insult he's ever heard. Then he made a pretty controversial comparison. Quote, "I mean, alopecia is not leukemia." And no, he has not changed his opinion since. In fact, in another episode, Bill did a revived edition of Explaining Jokes to Idiots where he made fun of cancel culture, the increased attacks against comedians, and called Will Smith humor impaired. He then said that it comes down to doing crowd work while hosting the Oscars. Celebrities should try to be a good sport and allow themselves to be made fun of for 1 minute. The politically incorrect alum even noted that Chris Rock's joke was initially received as funny by the audience, including Will Smith, who was initially spotted laughing before he decided to do anything else. Number 4. Shaun King. The activist who shot to fame during the Black Lives Matter movement was quick to delete his Twitter account not long after tweeting that Musk's purchase of the social media site is about white power, but he has since reactivated it amid news of the massive Twitter lawsuit and has changed his bio to "I'm still here." King has actually faced a number of allegations himself of mishandling charitable funds, which he has denied. But nevertheless, he's made it extremely clear that he hates Elon Musk and specifically pointed to the fact that the SpaceX founder was brought up in South Africa as evidence of his alleged racism. Quote, "At its root, Elon Musk wanting to purchase Twitter is not about left versus right, it's about white power. The man was raised in apartheid by a white nationalist. He's upset that Twitter won't allow his white nationalists to target and harass people. That's his definition of free speech." When the takeover was first announced, the writer posted on Facebook that he truly thinks this is a very bad thing for the richest man in the world to control the primary flow of information in the world. King might have certainly brought up some valid points, but his comments certainly left the internet divided over the issue. Number 3. Joel Kinnaman. During a press tour, the actor was asked about his thoughts on 2019's Joker, and that's when he decided to throw some shade at Jared Leto. Leto. Joel Kinnaman quickly aired his thoughts on Leto's performance. As the clown prince of crime before raving about Joaquin Phoenix's takeover. When asked if making the new Joker film was cheating on Jared, he bluntly replied, "No? Who?" He then went on to praise the new Joker film instead, saying, "Joaquin just crushed it. I mean, wow, he's incredible. He's such an actor." It's surprising to see something that has that kind of performance that has a DC wraparound because it's a real art film. I think he's really one of the best of all time. Joel Kinnaman, who played Rick Flag in David Ayer's original Suicide Squad, also seemed to favor the second film, the one that didn't include Jared Leto. Quote, "When I saw the film completed, I felt, yeah, this was what the first film set out to do." It really does make sense that he feels this way though, considering that the first movie was universally hated and torn apart by critics, whereas its sequel has received almost universally positive reviews and achieved a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's easy to see why he prefers that version. Number 2, Johnny Depp. Musk decided on not taking sides during the defamation lawsuit between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, even though his name was dropped throughout the trial, and Depp's lawyers alleged that she had an affair with Musk before she and Depp broke up. Much to everyone's confusion, the tech billionaire came out saying that he hopes they both move on, and at their best, they are both incredible. However, during the trial, some texts that Johnny Depp allegedly sent were less than flattering. He belittled Musk constantly and even called him Elon Musk. So why the hatred? Well, 3 years ago, the actor accused Heard of cheating on him with her ex-boyfriend Elon Musk, whom she dated publicly after their divorce. This exact accusation also made it into the defamation lawsuit in 2019, and the legal documents alleged that while Depp was out of the country, front desk staff testified that Heard had received Musk late at night in their shared penthouse and claimed that they saw him leaving the building the next morning. There's also been a flood of rumors circulating ever since the trial that Amber's daughter, Una Page, was secretly fathered by Elon Musk. So of course Johnny Depp wouldn't think highly of him. Number 1, Mark Zuckerberg. For over 4 years, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have clashed over things like artificial intelligence and rockets, and they haven't exactly tried to keep their rivalry a secret. It really started in 2016 when a SpaceX rocket explosion destroyed a $200 million Facebook satellite. Zuckerberg issued a heated statement saying he was deeply disappointed about SpaceX failure. 2 years later, Musk hit back by tweeting, "Yeah, my fault for being an idiot. We did give them a free launch to make up for it, and I think they had some insurance." But when Facebook became embroiled in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, it was Musk's turn to diss Zuckerberg's company. The SpaceX founder publicly deleted all of his company's Facebook pages and tweeted, "It's not a political statement, and I didn't do this because someone dared me to do it. Just don't like Facebook. Gives me the willies. Sorry." Musk also criticized Facebook's data sharing practices and shared several memes that implied the company was spying on its users. Zuckerberg has also called out Musk for being pretty irresponsible for not supporting the future of artificial intelligence, and in a response he just said, "I've talked to Mark about this. His understanding of the subject is limited." Ouch. Number 10, Christopher Titus. The American comedian did not hold back when it came to criticizing Will Smith for the initial incident at the 2022 Oscars when he walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock for joking about his wife Jada. Titus took to the podcast Christopher Titus TV and openly spoke about his disdain for the actor. Quote, "Watching the arrogance of Will Smith that night, I think that Will Smith probably believes he can do anything." In fact, many comedians took particular issue with Chris Rock being attacked, arguing that they should not be afraid for their own safety on stage, just because they like to tell risky jokes. But Titus did not find Will's latest YouTube apology to be sincere either, and was among the many Twitter voices that condemned the video as fake and self-centered. Quote, "Will Smith has lost me again. Dude, Chris said he'll contact you when he's ready. Why are you pushing him? You attacked a man on a global broadcast. You don't get to pick the redemption schedule, and by doing it publicly, you made it about you again." So it seems like Titus doesn't think Will deserves a get out of jail free card just yet. Number 9, Morgan Tremaine. Known for his explosive testimony during the Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard defamation trial, former TMZ journalist Morgan Tremaine garnered international praise for his infamous, quick-witted comeback to Heard's lawyer Elaine Bredhoft. But Tremaine once again was able to articulate what many people were thinking about the latest apology video from Will Smith. According to the producer, the video appeared more like a PR stunt than a genuine apology. Quote, "This Will Smith apology video has PR team written all over it. They're testing the waters to see how the general public feels about him. Nothing to do with Chris." There might be some truth to how Tremaine feels though, because apart from the obvious product placement, the apology also serves another purpose, as Will is now starting to make big moves in an effort to have a career comeback, which has suffered quite a bit due to him being cancelled. It's been revealed that Smith is planning to star in a sequel to one of his most iconic movies, I Am Legend. So it makes sense that what we are now seeing is the actor slowly trying to rebuild his reputation in Hollywood. Number 8. Chris Rock's brothers. Chris's brother Kenny Rock told the LA Times that he would like to see the Academy take back the Oscar that Will won that night. However, what gets to him most about the entire incident is that he has continued to watch it play out on TV over and over again, and there's nothing that he can do. Quote, "It eats at me watching it over and over again because you've seen a loved one being attacked and there's nothing you can do about it. My brother was no threat to him and you just had no respect for him in that moment. You just belittled him in front of millions of people that watched the show." Tony Rock, who was actually close with Will at one point, called out the actor during a comedy show. Quote, "If you think you're gonna walk up on this stage, this ain't the mother effing Oscars." He threatened to fight back if Will ever tried the same thing with him. In fact, the Oscar winner addressed Tony during his apology video. Quote, "I want to apologize to Chris's family, especially Tony Rock. You know, we had a great relationship. You know, Tony Rock was my man, and this is probably irreparable." That seems to be the case, as one Twitter user asked if the actor approved of Will's apology, and he simply responded by saying no. Number 7. Mia Farrow. In the hours after Elon Musk's $44 billion takeover was announced, some of Twitter's most followed and left-wing users pledged to never tweet again, although most of their accounts remain active today. One example of this is actress-turned-activist Mia Farrow, who's had no trouble using the platform to denounce the tech billionaire. In a tweet that has since been deleted, she announced that her intention was to dip. Quote, "Well, if Twitter becomes even more toxic with Trumpy, treasonous lies, and all the hatred, it will be taken less seriously, and people like me will quit for peace of mind." After receiving an intense amount of backlash in her comment section, she followed that up with another tweet that was almost dripping with sarcasm, thanking Musk for his companies Tesla and SpaceX, before saying that she hopes he can keep Twitter worthy of his previous achievements and of lawful people everywhere. Not to mention when Musk said that Twitter should be a neutral platform so both sides can express their thoughts and ideas freely, Farrow retweeted it with a Desmond Tutu quote that said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor." Number 6. Megyn Kelly. The veteran journalist believed that Smith made it all about himself at the Oscars when he walked on stage and slapped his longtime friend. Megyn Kelly was super critical of his actions that night and felt that the actor simply saw an opportunity to make himself appear as the tough guy standing up for his partner. She said that most guys would have handled it after the set and spoken to the comedian backstage. Then Kelly insisted that Smith used his 2 minutes on the world stage to defend his actions when he should have been apologizing immediately for how he acted. Quote, "It was a defense of him losing his temper. He should have got up there and he should have said, 'I'm very sorry for my bad behavior. I apologize to Chris, to the other nominees, and to the people whose attention I've wrongly dragged away from them on what would be their greatest night of their lives.'" Well, does she feel any differently now? Not really. In fact, she recently called out his newest YouTube video on the Megyn Kelly show and reiterated her comments, this time suggesting that Smith is only sorry now because he has a new movie coming out, so he really needs that public forgiveness to ensure its success. Number 5. James Gunn. The Guardians of the Galaxy director was quick to join in on the hate train against Jared Leto when he replied to Dylan Sprouse's initial tweet criticizing the actor for only going after 18 to 25-year-old women. James Gunn replied saying, "He starts at 18 on the internet?" Although his tweet has since been deleted, many users managed to grab a screenshot beforehand, and notes that this was not the first time James had tried speaking up about Jared's predatory behavior either. In fact, in June of 2015, 2015, the director reportedly did a live stream on the video app Periscope, in which he made similar remarks about the actor's habits of sleeping with people that are underage. And in 2012, he tweeted, "Driving home from Vegas trading stories about what a D Jared Leto is." He later deleted this as well, but it's become very clear that he does not think highly of the actor at all, and genuinely believes that he is a creep, which might be the reason why he never considered reprising the Joker for the Suicide Squad. Jared's take on the DC villain was introduced in David Ayer's Suicide Squad in 2016, but he failed to make the cut in James Gunn's sequel because, according to the director, quote, "I just don't know why the Joker would be in the Suicide Squad. He wouldn't be helpful in that type of war situation," which does make a certain sense. Number 4. Wanda Sykes. She co-hosted this year's Oscars along with Amy Schumer and Regina Hall. So comedian Wanda Sykes really saw everything unfold firsthand on Hollywood's Night of Nights, and she had a lot to say about it. Right after the Oscars, she addressed Will Smith's actions. Quote, "For them to let him stay in that room and enjoy the rest of the show and accept his award, I was like, how gross is this? This is just the wrong message," before joking that she wanted to be able to run out after he won and say, "Unfortunately, Will couldn't be here tonight." And while performing a stand-up comedy show in Orlando, she brought it up again, saying, "I'm still traumatized. I couldn't believe he was still sitting there. Shouldn't you be sitting there with a lawyer or LAPD?" She added that he hopes he gets his life together, but until then, F him. Wanda clearly hasn't changed her opinion of Smith. In fact, while appearing as a guest on a recent episode of Live with Kelly and Ryan, they asked her if she'd be open to hosting the Oscars again, and she just said, "Oh, hell no." To be fair, she did happen to co-host the most dramatic Academy Awards ceremony in recent history, as she recalled the incident again. Quote, "So everybody's just gonna sit here? I was like, the show just kept going on, and I looked behind the curtain and he's still sitting here. What is happening? What is going on?" It was crazy. It was just bizarre. Number 3. Errol Musk. Elon Musk's estranged father recently did an explosive interview on the Kyle and Jackie O show and revealed that he's not proud of his billionaire son, claiming that even Elon himself is displeased with his own progress in life. When Jackie O said, "Your offspring is a genius. He's worth so much money and has created so many things. You can't take that away from him. Are you proud?" Errol just paused and responded bluntly, saying, "No. You know, we are a family that have been doing a lot of things for a long time. It's not as if we suddenly started doing something." Instead, he chose to praise his younger brother, Kimball, and called him his pride and joy. The younger Musk brother is a chef and restaurateur who operates the Kitchen Restaurant Group with a net worth of $700 million, compared to Elon's $271.2 billion. But he seems to be happily married and has 3 children with his wife Christiana Wiley. Errol expressed concern that Elon may never be able to settle down, and even criticized his son's weight, citing that recent shirtless photo of him aboard a boat in Greece. Elon is very strongly built, but he's been eating badly. His comments might sound a little too harsh, but it just goes to show you that no matter how much you accomplish in life, sometimes it's never enough to please your parents. Number 2. Rosie O'Donnell. The comedian actually compared Will Smith to former President Trump, blasting the Oscar winner as a narcissistic madman who isn't being held accountable for slapping Chris Rock during the Oscars. O'Donnell took to Twitter to condemn Smith for the stunning confrontation at the 94th Annual Academy Awards. She wrote to her more than 1 million Twitter followers, quote, "We watched him do it. Then, like the Trump years, we don't hold anyone accountable. Shame on us, shame on Will." O'Donnell made it very clear that she believes that the Oscars had failed everyone by not publicly denouncing Will right after the incident occurred and still allowing him to accept his award. But comedians do tend to stand together on this issue, and she went on to praise Chris Rock for his composure after he was attacked on stage. Quote, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away from a sad display of toxic masculinity." Those words sound pretty harsh, but it's very clear that she absolutely hates Smith for his erratic behavior that night, and the message it sends to other comedians. And coming in at number 1, Chris Rock himself. The comedian has not publicly commented directly on the slap, including in the wake of Smith's recent video apology, which was directly addressed to him. Instead, Chris Rock chose to use comedy to speak about the incident. During his apology video, the actor insisted that he's reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, which couldn't be more apparent. He first brought it up during a stand-up set at London's Royal Albert Hall. Quote, "I'm okay. If anybody's wondering, got most of my hearing back." He followed that up with, "Don't expect me to talk about the BS. Your tickets were expensive, but not that expensive." Rock also referenced the incident when Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage near the end of his performance during the Netflix Is a Joke festival. When talking about the assailant, the comedian said, "I thought that was Will Smith." After the recent apology was posted, Rock continued to make jokes while on stage in Atlanta. Quote, "If everybody claims to be a victim, then nobody will hear the real victims. Even me getting smacked by Suge Smith, I went to work the next day. I got kids."